we're back. That time of the night again is Friday night, and of course, you know what that means. It must be time for that Friday feeling here on the Boys in the Bus. And yeah, we triple threat at Tim's tonight. As you can see, Johnny is back with us. We've no seen you since last year, Johnny. It's been that long. But it was actually, in fairness, it was about a month ago, but a lot has happened in a month. The equivalent of a year has happened in the space of a month, it feels like, because we've got a lot to catch up on. But first and foremost, Johnny, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing fine, and never mind a lot's happened in a month, a lot's happened in a week.
Yeah, that as well. Aye.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Got Christmas and New Year out the way. Quiet Christmas and quiet New Year. Just come back from a Johannesburg trip. So, as I was saying to you earlier on there, just enjoyed a bit of nice sunshine and sitting by the pool and whatnot in the 27-degree heat. Yeah, it was lovely.
Oh, make me jealous, mate.
Cheap beer and cheap steaks. You can't go wrong.
No, you definitely can't go wrong with that, man, because, it's as you can imagine, it's been perishing here while you've been away sunning yourself, absolutely perishing. And usually I'll ask you if you're anywhere exotic, but we can see you're in your usual place tonight, but somebody has got something different behind them tonight. Liam, you've got a different backdrop, but you're still in Vancouver, yes?
I'm just I'm just at one of the work offices right now. Just usually I take Friday afternoon off just so I can do the podcast, and I've been doing it out the house. But if you look at some of the earlier ones, I used to do it at the studio and stuff now and again. And he's got the full podcast set up today. But I'm
still yes, professional mic and everything,
cameras and everything all set up in here. But just Friday, innit? It's like, what's to talk about, Phil? Have you got an agenda?
I mean, don't need an agenda, mate. There's that much going on right now. There's so much to catch up on, because there's never ever a quiet week in this season. It just feels like there's always some madness going on. I think we've just about recovered from the news at the start of the week. Obviously, myself and Liam jumped on Monday night to cover it. But yes, it's been as the news stories just keep on coming, and we will get into all of that tonight. But transfer talk, and obviously the games keep coming as well. We've got Dundee United visiting tomorrow. The team that's already beat us this season. Boo. So hopefully we can get revenge on them for that one. But Jim Goodwin, he's always going to have a quite organised team. So we'll try and guess what we think the starting lineup's going to be tomorrow. Hopefully, as a case of back to basics for Martin O'Neill, and he keeps it very simple, because obviously he did get a tune out of this same set of players for 7 weeks or whatever it was. So hopefully he can repeat that magic. Whatever he sprinkled on that team during October, November time, hopefully he can do it again. But before we get into all that, of course, folks, you know what to do. It's that time in the night again to do all that good stuff. Help the channel out massively. So hit the old like button, get us a bit more traction in the old algorithm. On Celtic YouTube, people who like Celtic-related content and podcast-related content, they're more likely to see us with more interactions we get. Obviously, get involved in our comment section tonight, so let's have a wee look and see who has joined us tonight. Ian McIntosh is here, Joe Henry, Timmy Bing, Jim C., Teresa Lyle is also here, Smell the Glove is in, Skulzo is here, Ian is here. There's Graham Tyrrell, of course, he's here. Indeed, he's always here on the Friday night. Martin Nicol is here. The boy dog Hector is here. Crettenhop, he's asking a question as well about the theme music at the start of the show. It's just a generic tune from YouTube's music library. Because, we learned that on the Boise Bus previously. Russell obviously used a tune from somebody he knew personally, Brian Cattigan. But even that, despite knowing them personally, the record label eventually came along and said, no, we own that music, so that became a problem. So I've learned from that previously that you're better to just use YouTube's free library of music. So it's just one of them, it's just a generic track that I found on there. So there's I can't remember what the title is for it, but there's like tens of thousands of tracks on YouTube. To answer that one, then I don't know the exact answer, the name of the song, but that's where I got it from. Who else have we got in tonight that I've not shouted out yet, unless I have? 420 Somewhere is also here, and I think I've covered everybody that's put a message in. I think, yes, I think I have. Okay, and also you can hit the subscribe button as well if you want to discover this tonight, or if you discover us in the next few days. Hit the bell notification to be reminded when we're on the road. We do shows pretty frequently. We're very consistent with our post-match shows as well. Win, lose or draw. And Jesus Christ, there's been a lot of losses this season, but poor Terry, He's been in the trenches this season, but he still soldiers on, and he'll be back tomorrow as well to do the post-match for the Dundee United game, so look out for that. And what else can you do? You still share the link of the new channel. If you ever see us on Twitter tweeting about a show, then a retweet always helps. And if you want to become a Boys in the Bus member for $1.99 a month, then you can do so if you wish. Totally optional. Just helps us to keep a bit more diesel in the tank, keep everything ticking over nicely. And as I always say, our content will never, ever, ever be behind a paywall or on Patreon or any members only type of content. We'll all be here on YouTube, all free. And if you like to catch up via audio, you can do so with the link to our SoundCloud website in the description below. And yes, with all that said and done, let's
breathe.
Let's get cracking. So Johnny, let's get your feelings on it all. I think it's very hard to find a fan that was quite happy with Wilfried Nancy's performance. How did you find out about the news on Monday night? What was your initial reaction? How did you take it all in on Monday?
It was a bit strange and surreal actually, because I was at work and we set off to Johannesburg about 10:20 on Sunday night. And we arrived at the hotel in Johannesburg at about 12 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon, local time, which is 2 hours ahead here. And then just went straight to my bed for a few hours. And I think it was just sometime in the evening, I just seen it on, I think it was probably a WhatsApp from our group saying that he was gone. I think it was Regan that put it on first, if I remember rightly. So that's how I found out. WhatsApp, sure, it was a WhatsApp message, and then it was straight onto the internet to read about the stuff. And I fully expected to be much the same as when Brendan resigned, got sacked, whatever it was that happened with Brendan. And almost immediately here it was Martin O'Neill was coming in. But I think there was a bit of a gap, was there, before O'Neill was announced? Because I even watched a couple of other podcasts. The Bhoys supposed to be in one of them, and at the time they were transmitting. I can't remember if I watched them live or whether I'm catching them up. And I thought, well, they've obviously not announced anything yet. And then it came out that Martin was back to hopefully pull us back from the brink. And so it made my night, to be fair. I was hoping, and that's all it was, that by the time I landed in Johannesburg, I would hear that we had replaced the manager, at the very least got rid of one, but there was a bit of a delay on it. But so I was really pleased, really happy about it. I think it was inevitable after, or at least I thought it should be inevitable after the result. I wasn't 100% convinced that they would pull the trigger after getting beat.
I don't think anybody was, to be fair.
By Rangers 3-1. Unlike the Man United manager, when he made his comments after the game I listened to that game driving down to Heathrow on the Sunday before flying. And as soon as I heard he'd made them comments, I thought, well, why hasn't he just put a big sign up saying, sack me? And I was not the slightest surprised to hear that he'd got sacked. That was a recent certainty. And I was hoping that the Wilfried Nancy dismissal would be just as big a certainty. But when there was still no news by the time I got to the hotel, I wasn't convinced. But thankfully, it seems that somebody at Celtic Park came to their senses and got rid of the Dumb and Dumber. So it was all good. Yeah, so it certainly made for a nice Monday evening in Johannesburg. A few beers to celebrate.
No, definitely, it was actually something to celebrate. It's never good to have somebody loses their job, but yeah, we the fans, the ones putting all the money into it, are the ones suffering here. And thank God somebody came to their senses. And
can I just say on that? That's a comment I really don't like hearing when they talk about like profession. We don't like anybody losing their job. Well, give me £1 million and I'll lose my job tomorrow.
True.
These guys aren't. I mean, he wasn't a poor man when he came across here, I wouldn't have thought. He'd be decent enough wage at Columbus Crew, on good money coming to us. And I know he's not going to get his full contract paid up. I think I read somewhere he'll probably get about 6 months of it paid up, but he's still going to walk away with quite a few quid. And at the end of the day, nobody to blame but himself, really.
That's it. That's exactly it. Too headstrong, just too determined, and all of us regular folk could see it from a mile away with this team, this current squad. It's like we don't have the resource. In fact, you mentioned Ruben Amorim, you mentioned the Man United manager, the parallels there that he's went through for the last year, where he's been determined to play a system without the players that can actually play it, and he still keeps doing it. But two of them lost their job on the same day. But Liam, as Johnny just said, there's somebody came to their senses at Celtic Park. Apparently, the narrative is being pushed from somebody within the club that Nick, the great guy, Michael Nicholson, he was the one behind it. He took the initiative and obviously made the call to get rid of him. At the same time, while a lot of fans are kind of pushing back and saying, hey, wait a minute, you put a video out before we played Dundee United at Tannadice saying that, you back him. He did say in the video, and this clip has been coming back to haunt him, he was our number one target from day one. We wanted him, we were aware of his work for months. So, all these comments are all coming back. Do you believe, Liam, for 1 second that Michael Nicholson was the guy that made the call, or are the club just trying to save his bacon right now?
I think the club's just trying to save his bacon right now. I think that's absolute rubbish that Mike Nicholson didn't have any involvement in that. I mean, it's like the whole thing about the sounding out of Nancy and all that, and the stuff that's coming out now, is he didn't come with a lot of respect for Celtic. He didn't come with a lot of respect for the players that were already there. You're seeing now in that, was it the McGowan article that came out today as well, saying that, I'd heard earlier this week that he did sort of like the damned United approach, whereas like when Brian Clough came into the Leeds United team and says, take all your trophies and put them in the bin and all that because you want cheating and all that. Supposedly the comment was that he came out and he said, listen, we're going to change the way you've been playing is rubbish. I'm here to change all that. And I think there's a guy that just way more overestimated his own self-value and his own worth coming into Celtic. I don't think he knew a lot about the players that was taking up. I don't think there was a lot of research in his part. The fact that he thought he was coming to fix something that was really broken, I don't think was the case. The team, we were in second place and we'd got within basically the same level as Hearts with a game in hand at that time. Martin O'Neill had got us in a great place. And so for him to come in to say that to the players, I think that just hit the wrong chords right away. Yeah. And the stuff that's coming out where, he was here to create a new version of football that, us Scots couldn't comprehend or understand. That some guys come from Columbus, Ohio, through playing with shit teams. And I don't even know if he played professionally in France. Do you know what level he played at in Canada? He played university level.
Wow.
University level. University level's no even. I mean, it's crap football. I mean, I've played against and with many guys that played in the university level programs here in Canada, and half of them can get on a good, half decent men's team. When they come out of that university program. So, yeah, the whole thing just starts to rub me the wrong way when you see what little regard Celtic had for educating him and what he was coming into. And Mike Nicholson, he's got to take the brunt of that. Nice. He's got to take the brunt of that because, he put himself out there that this was his man, that researched everything about him. But, I think he just came in. He came up too much hype. And it just shows you can, in this day and age, you can overhype anybody. We see it in player reels. We see it with agents. We see it that sort of thing. And this type, the hype, he overpromised, underdelivered. And it's showing, and thank God we got him out the door right now. And the people that are throwing accolades toward Mike Nicholson, well, I think that's, on Twitter, guys like Siamese Boy and things like that. We all know who allegedly that is. That's Neil Lennon.
Yes, apparently it's Neil Lennon.
And you couldn't get a guy more up the board's arse than Neil Lennon. I'm sure he's waiting about like a bad smell, seeing if he could dip into the pockets, once the coat's off. And it's just, that. I think Nancy was very, very fortunate that, us as fans and as podcast groups and everything, most people were willing to give the guy a chance. But that chance after chance just quickly eroded where you couldn't even see what he was trying to do. And honestly. Anthony Bourdain said, when he was doing this tour of Glasgow, he says, Glasgow's the non-bullshit capital of the world. If you walk in full of shit, you'll get found out really quickly. And I think he got found out really quickly. As Rodgers the second time around as well.
No, you're right. I've seen that exact same quote doing the rounds through the week, and it was inevitable, and we could all see through it. But again, I keep going back to us, regular fans could see the issues, and for some reason he was just too headstrong. And that's the thing, Johnny, as well, regarding this comment here from ADHD Gamer 67. He says Nancy was stubborn and it's cost us big time. Obviously, it's cost him his job, but that is the key. It's cost us big time. Now, I don't want to look too far ahead into the future because obviously things are still wild right now, and who knows what's ahead. But I said this on Monday night to Liam, is if we don't do this, if we don't manage to win the league, I hope I'm not looking at the league table at the end of the season and it's like 6 points or 7 points of a difference, and it's like that 1 month of madness is what's cost us here. And if Martin O'Neill doesn't pull this off, now first of all, I don't think his legacy gets damaged in any way. I think fair play to him for coming back a second time in the same season to try and pull us out the mire. Fair enough. He's been put in a very, very difficult position here. If he can do it, then they're talking about statues and stuff like that. I've heard a lot of fans saying that. I wouldn't argue against it. It would be incredible. But I mean, I feel a lot better right now about the season with him in charge, but we've still got a lot of work to do. But are you worried in any way, Johnny, about legacy and fans? I don't think Martin O'Neill would cop any flack for this. It's clearly going to be, if we don't do this season, then it's going to all come down to the last 4 weeks of this season. What's happened between the start of November and start of December, actually, wasn't it? It was when did he come in? Was it mid-November, end of November? I can't even remember now. In fact, it was the start of December because the Hearts game was at the start of December. 33 days ago, whatever it was. So yeah, that's how I feel like if we don't pull it off this season, then I don't think you can blame Martin O'Neill in any way, shape or form. He's going to he'll do his best, as he always says. I'll do my absolute best to bring success to this club. Said it in day one, way back in 2001. He'll have that same mentality. But yeah, I still feel that we can do it. But obviously, there's a long way to go, Johnny.
Martin's O'Neill's legacy is in absolutely no danger whatsoever. For me, anyway, and I'm quite sure for every other Celtic supporter, it's untarnishable. It's just, and if anything, it improves by the very fact that he was willing to, not once, but twice, drop everything at the drop of a hat, give up his cushy number Monday mornings on TalkSport with Simon Jordan and Jim White, doing some television and radio work and whatnot, doing his little tours around the country, an evening with Martin O'Neill and guest appearances here and there. Dropped all that twice because of the mire that we're in. So absolutely no danger to his legacy whatsoever. And when you consider he's the only man that we could really get in to do the job that we need him to do. If he turned us down, where do we go next? Well, a lot of people think it would have been Gordon Strachan. Now you look at the two of them. The Gordon Strachan done a good job for us, but he was never, ever thought of in the same way as Martin O'Neill is. Just never. And on that same sort of front, Nancy had no connection with the fans either. Absolutely no connection with the Celtic support. How many times, and I know we could say results weren't great, but even when we won games, I don't think we've seen him coming out onto the field to try and build any bridges or make any friends, if you want to use that expression, with the support. It was always just straight up the tunnel. Almost like he didn't really want to be here. And so Martin O'Neill was the only person we could turn to, and if he turned his back on us, then you've got to wonder who we would have turned to, and I think it would have been Gordon Strachan. Which would have been, but yeah, Nancy, on the comment about the just point blank refusing to change anything And it came as no surprise when that 1-0 half-time result turned into 3-1 defeat. It was no surprise to anybody. I even put it on our WhatsApp group, that we're still got a long, long way to go on this game. And what was it? 15 minutes and we were 2-1 down the second half.
Yeah, I felt it at the stadium. I said that Monday night to Liam. Said that all the guys around me at the half-time break. I was like, we're winning 1-0 and we had played brilliant, no doubt about it. We were great in that first half, but we missed too many chances. And I just kept seeing what happened at Tannadice 2 weeks before. And I'm like, we've been in this position before, and I feel like if Rangers get an equaliser, this team's arse will collapse. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened.
And it was not like Roll made any dramatic tactical change. He's switched players. He took Asgard, is that his name?
Asgard went off for Diamandi. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't a stroke of genius or anything. It was just a slight twitch, but that's it.
Yeah.
Nancy had absolutely, we talk about no plan B. I mean, he's the original no plan B. We're doing it this way, and you just keep doing it, and it doesn't matter what's happening. Go 5-0 down, we'll still keep doing it. But as he proved against Roma. But so just definitely heard the expression on loads of pods. Wrong man, wrong movie.
Fucking hate that.
Wrong planet. But hopefully,
the nightmare's over now. If we're talking about a movie, Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Kerrydale Street, you can call it. It's over.
But at least we've given Martin 18 games to try and do it. But for every day that passes and we don't get new blood in the door, particularly a striker, then we're losing time. I mean, 18 games are going to go to 17 games tomorrow. So, and it's not going to be an easy game tomorrow, I don't think. So we need to get moving fast and no more pissing about.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's talk about the signings then, or potential signings, names flying around, because as everywhere. So yeah, striker is obviously the what we need priority. I mean, there's lots of things we need right now. I've said a couple of times on pods, it does feel like every time we fix one hole, another hole opens and water starts gushing out. Essentially, we need to patch that one up. But yeah, striker first and foremost. Martin even said something similar when he had his little interim spell a few weeks ago, his first interim spell. I believe in the time that he's been away, he's done like these Q&A nights, and Graham Spears was hosting one and says, so Martin, if you were allowed to stay on at Celtic, what would be the priority you need? And he did actually say striker, so he's coming back, and I think we still need a striker. So it's not going to be Kyogo, apparently, Liam. How do you feel about that news? Good, bad, indifferent? And how did you feel initially when the news came up? Just lazy journalism? Or were you kind of like, do you know what? If anyone can get a tune out of Kyogo, it's probably Martin O'Neill, because Kyogo is one of those players where, compared to Jota, who's obviously left and came back, and quick say, when Jota left, he was still at the peak of his powers, and he left because we got offered a lot of money in our world. 25 million is a lot for a player. When Kyogo left initially, you could see he was on the decline, and in the time he's been away, he's only got worse. I think he only scored like 2 goals for Rennes and only 1 goal this season for Birmingham in a League Cup game. I was actually watching last Sunday. I was in the gym, and the Coventry and Birmingham were playing, and it was on ITV, and I had it on the screen on the treadmill, and I was watching it, and Kyogo came off the bench during it. So I thought, I'll see if Kyogo does anything, but he was just totally anonymous, and I think that's been the story of his time there. But yeah, in terms of Kyogo, are you quite happy at the news that it's probably not coming according to Martin O'Neill today, or do you still think, I hope he can pull that one off, because you feel like there's still a wee bit of magic there we can get out of Kyogo, and Martin O'Neill can pull it from him?
When we first got linked with him, the nostalgic bit hit in, and I remember, we nippy winger, centre forward that Ange brought into the team that was just box office as soon as he landed. Some of the goals he scored against Rangers, some of the goals he scored in, that one pass with Jota that he scored in the UEFA, that one, I think, goal of the month, or that goal of the night. There was just so many good things about Kyogo that I loved, and I thought he was very happy at his time at Celtic, but you never knew. I guess he wanted away. Now, the fact that it's lazy, it's definitely lazy, but it's also it was lazy without doing. It looks like they didn't do any sort of research whatsoever to actually reach out to Kyogo or his agent and find out if he wanted to come back. If he thought he would benefit by coming back, playing for Celtic, in front of a crowd that, that valued him, gave him a lot of love and all that, and then for him to sort of turn up his nose and say, I want to fight for my place at Birmingham, where you've done absolutely nothing in a year, that shocked me. It shocked me that one that we're so needy that we wouldn't have sounded that out. I mean, that's just another mere embarrassment for this board as well. That even the guys that we think is a pure thing coming back, where divides the crowd in their opinion, they never even checked to the guy and see if he wanted to come back. And sure enough, there he goes. He's just like, no, I'm going to stay in Birmingham and fight for my place against Landon Dykes. It just shows you we should be setting our sights much higher. It's lazy, it's unimaginative, and it's exactly what you'd expect for this board and our recruitment team. Now that he's been snubbed, who's plan B? Who's the second one on that list? Is there a list? Because if there isn't a list, there needs to be one. Yeah. And, we're not hearing anything about it. There's no substantial rumours, heard about maybe Patrick Bamford, Callum Wilson, all these old guys, but it's like, it doesn't seem they're available. They're not being scouted. These are guys who've been looking for clubs that's well known. So who's out there? Where's that striker that we've been looking at? Is there somebody for the African Nations Cup that we've seen that's caught their eye? Is there anybody playing in Eastern Europe? Anybody playing in Sweden or, any of the other places, that we've scouted? We had a line going through Benfica at one point. Is that dried up? So it's just out there. Oh, just wanted to say one more thing. See this Rang movie?
Aye.
I've heard that in every single podcast I've listened to. I've listened to a few.
You've heard it tonight on here?
Heard it tonight on here. I heard it yesterday. I heard it twice the day before. It's like, I've never seen a thing become viral on a podcast so quick where everybody used that exact same expression. And Rang movie. Okay, wrap it up. The movie's done. The credits have rolled. We're starting the movie.
That's it.
Yeah. Just get it in the bin.
Aye, well, thankfully, Wilfried Nancy's been put in the bin on that one. But some of the striker names you mentioned there, like the Callum Wilson one, is purely because he's became available. He was on a pay-as-you-play deal at West Ham, who, let's keep in mind, are absolutely honking this season, right? But he's obviously been, sitting on the sidelines, still getting a game. They've ripped up his contract. And obviously, Callum Wilson has shown over the years that he's a very good goal scorer in the English Premier League. Obviously, age is catching up with him now, and injuries are catching up. But yeah, this isn't the Callum Wilson of a few years ago that was banging him in for Bournemouth under Eddie Howe, and I think he had quite a good spell at Newcastle before his injuries started hitting him. So that one's only became available just because it's a Premier League player that's on a free transfer right now. And how much football has he played regular? It's the reason he's been released. It's because he's not been playing much. So again, it's like bringing in a player that's going to take weeks to get up to speed if we end up going down that route. But we find ourselves in a position where it may just need to be these patch-up jobs again. We keep moaning about how we don't want it to be that, but we may be loans and whatever free transfers we can get between now and the end of January. But one of the transfers that seems to be happening, now last week I sat here and said I don't think this, on Monday night, I said this, Johnny, to Liam, but I thought, well, now that Paul Tisdale's gone, I guess any players we were linked with in the run-up to the sacking are probably scrapped now. But it seems like Jocelyn Tabai, I think it's pronounced, T-A, and it's like two separate words, T-A-B-I. Yeah. It seems like that's happening now. Now, other than the fact of where he plays right now, and this is the boy's Ivorian, obviously, but he obviously plays in Israel right now. So the fact we're going to be doing business with an Israeli club, again, read the room, Celtic board. But anyway, we know they don't do that. But his stats, again, it just reeks of, this is just a random punt again. We're just just throwing out a 2 million, whatever it is, for a right winger, I believe he is. Now, don't get me wrong, we need right wingers. Right wingers was obviously a problem because we signed Tenekti and Balakisha, who are left wingers. Maeda wasn't allowed to leave because we didn't have any right wing cover. We let Nicholas Kuhn go. James Forrest is obviously 34 years old now. So we do need them, but you look at his stats: 2 assists and 2 goals all season. About £2 million will pay for him. I'm not particularly inspired by this one, but again, this seems to be the waters that we're swimming in, Johnny.
Yeah, well, firstly, I'm not really overly concerned with the fact that he plays in Israel, and we dealt with Russian clubs when they were when they first invaded Ukraine and that. So I've got that's really not going to affect me. What does annoy me about it more than anything is he's not for now, and what we need is for now, and what we need is for the next 18 games. What Martin O'Neill needs is for the next 18 games. What happens after that is going to be somebody else's problem to solve. Sign players, and I don't see the point. I really don't see. There's no point looking beyond this season, really. So again, you can't really comment on him because know absolutely nothing about it except for what you've just basically told us there, Bill, because you've not really read any more about him in the papers than what you've just said there. So we've got no real anything to judge the guy on and the signing, and you can only see it as one for the future, and we don't. I know it sounds bad or ridiculous to say we don't really need to look to the future. We need to look at the next 18 weeks, and that's it. Guys in to do the job now. There's a few in Scotland that I might throw at you and see what you think. I think WhatsApp I've just read from Connor Carr, our own Connor Carr there. One of them we might be able to take off the list of possibilities because it might be going over the other side of the city if Connor's WhatsApp is correct. Kieran Bowie. Apparently Rangers are now sniffing there. So, but there's, and I don't know, there's the lad that's just come back from AFCON from Motherwell.
Yeah, he scored for, I think it was Zimbabwe he was playing for at the AFCON. But yeah, he definitely scored a couple of goals out there in the tournament as well. But yeah, he's been banging them in for them. So there is talent within Scotland, definitely.
Don't get me wrong, I've not seen a lot of it because I don't watch an awful lot of other football other than Celtic. So the only times I've seen them really is when he's been playing and it's against Celtic. But he's kind of impressed me. And the two lads from St Mirren, I've always thought they look quite handy as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we have to go out and sign these guys, but there have been players that I've liked in Scotland, but thought I liked them, but I don't think I'd want Celtic to sign them. But for short term, these guys might just do a job for us, And well, if Celtic have got any interest in Kieran Bowie, then maybe they should get their skates on and get the job, get jobs done. But whether it's Kieran Bowie or anybody else, they need to get the job done. Should have been done, as Terry was kept banging on. Camp outside SFA headquarters, when the bells went, knock on the door, get this guy registered. But now on the 9th of January, and all we've got is Kyogo's apparently said no to us. And if we've asked him and he said no, I'm glad he said no quickly, and we haven't hung about for 3 or 4 days waiting for an answer from him. Because if he had to get sort of persuaded, then you don't want him, But what I will say about Kyogo, I think he needs to get himself a decent advisor. Because whoever advised him it was a good move to go from Celtic to Rennes, I said at the time when we were on the Bhoys bus, I thought it was a ridiculous move for him to make. I think Russell said, yeah, but he's looking to try and get it up for a World Cup. Kyogo's not going to get to the World Cup. He can forget the World Cup.
Definitely not.
He couldn't get a proper look at the World Cup, or the Japan team rather, when he was banging goals in for Celtic. Maeda had more chance of playing at centre forward than Kyogo did. So what makes him think that 18 good games anywhere else is going to get him in that World Cup? Got no idea. So why he was advised to go to Rennes, couldn't understand it. Can't say I thought the Birmingham move was any better for him, to be honest with you. I just think he's badly advised, or just simply not as good as we thought he was.
Well, remember, he did change agent about 6 months before he did leave us, and there was these wild rumours at the time about Man City were looking at him, which obviously amounted to nothing, but that was in the summer of 2024. summer of 2024. And then, of course, he was away in January. He was gone.
Well, I think the Man City thing was purely to try and drum up interest in someone else. And maybe that worked.
Yeah, maybe, but I ran and it didn't quite work out there. Liam, obviously, you are a man in Canada. Canada's favourite Tim, the wise man. A name came up this week of a boy who plays for the Canadian national team. Nico Shigur, is it pronounced? He plays for Hajduk Split. He's a Croatian Canadian. Because Chilpil was asking what happened to the Nico Shigur rumours. So as soon as I saw the name, and it was obviously the story was saying he's one step away from joining Celtic. Well, what is one step away in the world of Celtic transfers? I ask you. But yeah, I thought, okay, but is this the striker we're waiting on? Then I was like, right back and can play defensive midfield as well. And I'm like, okay, we do need the positions. I don't deny that for a second, but right now that's not the glaring position that we need. But what do you know about this lad, if indeed comes true that he's on the way to Celtic?
So, younger version of Alistair Johnston. He's the one that replaced Johnson left right back in the was it the Gold Cup, the one they had in the summer, the CONCACAF. And I born here in Vancouver, Croatian family, went over there, played with Hajduk Split, which is always a big move, big club for a boy born in that culture. He's done well for Canada. He played well in the game. Best game I've seen Canada play in ages was the 3-0 win against Romania earlier this year, and he scored an absolutely cracker of a third goal. You know, from it was one of his balls that was cut back to him. He managed to move. He was playing more of a defensive midfielder at that point. Moved across to the 18-yard box, switched sides, jumped back into the middle, and hit an absolutely brilliant shot right into the top right-hand corner. And it was an absolute cracker. He looks a good player, looks fit, but these the rumours died down as fast as it could.
Yep.
You know, for something like that to be leaked, I mean, I think I read about him on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was thinking, okay, well, maybe that's the O'Neill effect, that we're going to get a finger out and we're going to actually start getting some movement, you know, within the recruitment. No, it's just disappeared. I mean, we have so much talk, so little action going on right now, that every time I'm hearing one of these rumours, I'm just thinking it's agents and stuff. And by the way, his agent is the same agent as Lyle Abada, Callum McGregor, Joseph Juranovic. There's Matt O'Reilly. There's a series of players that we've been linked to that he's with the same management agency, and so I don't know if that could have been somebody just you know, putting two and two together. You know, would he leave Hajduk Split to come to Celtic? Yeah, we're a much bigger club. Don't know if we're playing in a much better league. But no, he would definitely be on the radar, and I think he'd be good. But it'd be a direct challenge to Alistair Johnston coming back in the team, and it'd be good. I'd like to see him get some more competition. You know, that isn't Tony Ralston or Donovan. You know, but you look at, you know, you said earlier, Phil, what we need. We need a striker. But here
that's first and foremost.
We're looking at a position that we've got 5 guys lined up to play that. You know, there's, you know, Johnson, Ralston, Donovan, and then you'd have Sigur as well, and then we've got the boy on loan as well.
That's right, yeah, brought in a Rojo on loan, yeah.
So that'd be 5 guys for the one position. I mean, why are we doing that? That made absolutely no sense to me at the time. He's a good player, but he's not what we need right now. You know, and really disappointed in the recruitment so far. I see we got linked to another Croatian that did the rounds again. That used to be, was that Livorovic? And
the goalkeeper, Dominic Livakovic. Yeah, he played for. He went to Fenerbahce, I want to say.
Aye,
did he go there? Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's supposedly available. I think he's about £4 or £5 million. That would be a great signing right now. Knowing that when we talk about this game tomorrow, one of the big discussions and probably decisions we need to make. Talk about our keeper, who seems to have fallen in love with Mars bars or whatever Christmas treats he got during the holidays. He's found deep fried Mars bars or something, because he's looking massive.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The goalkeeper one is a big one. As I said earlier on, every time we think we know what the problem is, another problem springs up, and yeah, that one has been a consistent one. We talk about right back, striker, the midfield. It's the whole team. We need reinforcements everywhere. See, Martin O'Neill so far has made all the right noise about we need to supplement the squad, and even in that interim spell, he's said things after that, saying that the squad needs improved. And he did say on Monday, this is an interesting one. Maybe I'm reading too much into it with the way he worded it, but he talked about how Sean Maloney's been working in the background, and it's like, yeah, but you will literally put in place on the Monday. So it makes me think that the club have spoke to Maloney in advance and have said there's a good chance that he's going to get sacked. You should start looking out some players, because otherwise, why would Maloney be looking out players? And say that's literally on the Monday. Martin Neal said that, and they've only been in the job on the 24 hours at that point. In fact, no, that would have been the Tuesday. He would have said that, and they were put in place on the Monday. So Maloney's probably, I would say, been doing it for a couple of weeks in the preparation that this was going to happen, because it was definitely heading that way. There was no doubt about it. That was a contingency plan. But let's change focus for a wee bit and talk about something a bit more fun this week, away from the carnage and the controversy of Wilfried Nancy's reign of terror. Did you watch Henrik Larsson on the overlap?
Oh yeah,
loved it.
Brilliant.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic piece of media. I guess it was really television, but what does it count as nowadays when it's online? But anyway, superb. I mean, I catch bits of the overlap from time to time, and I do enjoy it. I mean, I like listening to Roy Keane, Ian Wright. I do find, though, that on the show, there's a running theme of they get just a lot of ex-Man United players on and just talk about how great Alex Ferguson was and how bad it's became at Man United. And I know, obviously, Henrik had a wee spell at Man U, but of course, most of the theme was all about his time at Celtic. And Lubo Moravcik got a lot of praise, Johnny, when he was asked about, best player you played with. And the guys obviously on the pod thought it's surely going to be Ronaldinho. When you look at that Barcelona team that he was in, because he does mention that Lionel Messi was just coming into the team, just as I think he was starting his final season, but it was like, 17, 16-year-old Lionel Messi, at that point, you can see he's a talent, but you don't know just how good he's going to get. But obviously, at his prime, Ronaldinho was in that team, and yeah, they just thought, he's going to be Ronaldinho, but he really hit them for six with that one, didn't he, Johnny, by saying Lubo? But it's a fair shout, because, again, I think, was it Zinedine Zidane somewhere along the way talked about how great Lubo Moravcik was? I'm sure Zidane's got a quote somewhere out there about it, Johnny.
Yeah. Well, I think, Roy Keane and Ian Wright weren't quite so surprised when he said Moravcik, because they were both...
Ian Wright played alongside him. Ian Wright did, yeah.
Great player. And yeah, so he did talk about, like you said, Messi and the just being a kid, basically. And it might be why he also didn't really say too much regarding Ronaldo. He did go on about how Ronaldo was a great player. He said it was just about the time he was starting to stop his show pony stuff, didn't he? Because that's what Ronaldo was. We all called him that when he first was at Man United. He was a show pony. He would do about 15 step-overs and then fall on his arse, and it was when he stopped doing all that he then started to go on and become the player he was. But he wasn't that player. Similarly with Messi, that Larsson was playing along with at Man United. And then I was surprised when he didn't put Moravcik in his top three players. At the very end, he did talk about Moravcik being one of the best players, and he said, even to this day, I don't know whether he's left-footed or right-footed.
Yep.
Because he could do exactly the same with either foot. But I think he put Rooney in there as a consolation Man United player in his top three.
Although Wayne Rooney was a generational talent. Like the way he gets, I think, disrespected these days by a lot of modern football fans. And I'm like, you don't understand how good Wayne Rooney was. These fans don't get it. So I think Wayne Rooney was a good shout as well, to be fair.
I think, but I still think Moravcik was better. But I think Wayne Rooney was one of the last fantastic footballers who didn't look like a footballer. Aye,
true. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I don't think we've actually mentioned this. So it's a slight tangent here. Dixie Deans was exactly like that. If you'd showed somebody a photograph of Dixie Deans not in a football strip and said, "What do you think he does for a living?" You'd never have come up with football player or professional football player, and he was brilliant. But Larsson on that show was great. I listened to it driving up the road from Heathrow yesterday morning. Then I watched it again last night so I could have watched it as well. And he had the best. It was funny when they were trying to get to the quick fire round, and
he doesn't talk too quickly, does he? So
and then he had the best finish to the show ever when the last question was absolutely fantastic. Yep. The answer was great.
Yeah, and was a rumour about yourself, and it's I'm boring. It's a great way to finish. Yeah. There was something interesting though that he said during it, Liam, and instantly, in front of Ian has brought this up in the chat, and I've starred it. He said here that Henrik is fed up with football. I'd say horseshoe football was what he was saying. That's interesting. I totally related to that because again, when he talked about it, he said, "I don't love the game right now," and I feel the same about football in general. I've said here plenty of times about how I feel managers like Pep Guardiola. And it's all about systems now and analytics and sports science and XG and stuff like that. Where are the characters? We just talked about Wayne Rooney there. You know, a guy who didn't look like a conventional footballer, but was an unbelievable talent, a proper talisman, you know, and a character. These types of guys, where are they now? I get what Henrik Larsson's saying, where he was saying, I don't really love the sport as much nowadays. And yeah, horseshoe football, everything's about passing sideways, hold on to possession, play out from the back. Everything's very much robotic and regimented now. So I totally relate to that comment, Liam.
Oh, I relate to it as well. I mean, when you looked at Henrik in that interview, he was so zen-like and monk-like, you know, in the way, you know, as it said about the boring and that. But when you seen him cross that line and go into the park, there was a spark, an imagination there that we've not seen since the days of Jimmy Johnson. And, you know, that's what I loved about Henrik and that. And you could see that, you know, he must have been watching Brendan Rodgers football with the horseshoe, as you said. You know, the fact that spark, that imagination has been drained out the game by, you know, technical clowns with systems and just like, you know, Wilfried Nancy, you know, guys coming in because they had a certain process or theology of football, a doctrine that they knew better than guys that had grown up playing the game, guys that had actually been on the park and making things on a big occasion, you know, the MLS and stuff like that. And yeah, you know, the sad thing about watching that, and I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed the comment when Carragher started with his, you know, I bet Scotland, and Henrik was quick to remind him that we beat all the English teams during.
We beat Liverpool on the way to that UEFA Cup that he was playing in, because Carragher says, "Did I ever play against you?" And he's like, "Yeah, UEFA Cup 2003." And we don't wrong nowadays, and just going on, Carragher said, nowadays, yeah, I mean, Scottish football is abysmal in comparison, but back then in the early 2000s, Celtic proved they could go toe-to-toe with good English teams. But nowadays, I get it. But Henrik Larsson was there. We're talking about his time. So it was a bit weird, the Carragher to sort of, oh yeah, but Scottish football, when you're talking about that guy in particular that's sitting there in his time when it was a lot better and the teams were a lot higher standard.
Yeah, well, you know, good for Henrik, and, you know, a lot of our players that come out, he clamped him right away. And deservedly so. He had nothing to come back from there, and it was just shut it, you know, idiot. It just shows you, it's sad though, it shows you how far we've digressed. You know, when you see a player like Henrik Larsson sitting in that studio and talking about, you know, the opportunity. Supposedly there was 29 clubs in for him when they ended up going to
Celtic.
You know, name a player in our squad right now that would get that sort of accolades. Name anyone in our squad right now that would be able to, you know, sit on a programme like that and talk about the Celtic and successes and, you know, what made them the player they are. You know, he was very, you know, his team. And, you know, how have you not found a place for Henrik Larsson within Celtic? You know, you look at all the great teams and all that, and you look at the players that have played for them. You know, the Italian teams are very good at it. You know, they bring players back and give them a role within the club. We brought Diddy's back, like Darren O'Day and, you know, who's the one that's running?
Johnny Hayes is currently running the B team. Johnny Hayes
running the B team.
Liam, I think you know the answer to that question, because Henrik Larsson just wouldn't take the bullshit.
But that's fine, and I think that we've moved.
And that's why he wouldn't come back.
we've moved away from that they should be able to take the bullshit, because now we're looking at, we've got a board that are much bigger and no better, not just in the fans, but of the players and the pundit and the players who became pundits. Our board also know better than them as well. The guys that put them in those positions, the guys that have funded the big comfy seats, the fat padded salaries, all that stuff all came in the backs of people like Henrik Larsson, Chris Sutton, Scott Brown, all those players, that helped make Celtic what it was during those years and come in, and now they know better, and so, not hire someone like that because they would make too much noise. Well, that's the type of noise that we need right now. It's the noise.
Which is why they won't take him. Which is why they won't give him a job, Liam.
Sorry?
Which is why they won't give him a job. That's why they wouldn't go anywhere near Henrik Larsson.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the board's just so far up themselves right now that would be too big of a challenge for them. They want to be front and centre. They want to be the focal point. And then when they are the focal point, the fucking arse clamps and we don't want it anymore. I don't want this fame. I don't want this scrutiny. Somebody put a sticker with a wee red cross through my face. Assault. They don't know what they want. And I just thought it was sad to see, like, wow, that was my Celtic. That's the Celtic I supported. That was my player. That was my time. I saw every single game I think he played in, and even watched the ones he played in with Sweden as well, as like a lot of us did. And when he told about the two best goals he scored are both against my other club, Bulgaria. So
Bulgaria, yes, right. Yeah. The World Cup in '94, he went round the goalkeeper and that insane diving header at Euro 2004.
And
my God.
I can remember the header. I couldn't remember the other one.
The other one, I'll tell you what, the other one was a back heeler. That sort of like, he jumped up and he turned around and he sort of did some sort of weird back heeler, and it went into the corner as well, and that was a cracker as well.
The one that I always like is against Rangers, but it's not the one that you think. It's from a free each game in 2002, where he had his back to goal. Didier Agat zipped it along the ground. He had his back to goal on the edge of the 18-yard box, and I want to say it was Amoruso, maybe, whatever centre-back it was, got really tight to him at the back.
Moore.
He just spun him off, Craig Moore, and he just takes one touch with his left foot and it sort of bounces up in front of him and just turns and on his right. It's either he takes a touch with his right and volleys on the left, or the other way around. But that one touch bounces up a little bit and he turns and hits it on the volley, puts it right in the top corner. But I think because we didn't win that game, and ultimately we didn't win anything that season, that goal gets forgotten a lot. But I mean, the chip in the 6-2 game is unbelievable. Like, it's extraordinary. And even later that season, we played Rangers again in the semi-final of the League Cup, and he put Bob Malcolm on his arse and lobbed it over Stefan Klos again and waited for the ball to drop out the sky and then tapped into the empty net. It was astounding. But I love that one against Rangers, the one where he just takes a touch and spins and puts it right in the top corner. But probably because we didn't win the game, it gets forgotten about. But it's so hard to pick a favourite goal. It really is, because
his 50th goal of the season, tight angle one against Rangers as well, which
Rangers,
Maloney nearly pinched off him. Right? I think Maloney was thinking about it and then suddenly realised, well, wait a minute.
I know there's so many big ones to pick from, but yeah, it was a good watch. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, it was good to see they didn't just get a guest on to talk about the class of '92 at Man United and the winning mentality that Alex Ferguson installed at Man U, because that is a running theme on that show. But yeah, that was thoroughly good. And if you haven't watched it yet, then definitely go and give it a watch. Yeah, we've spoiled it for you, but go and watch it anyway. Go and have a wee watch. And just quite before we talk about the Dundee United game, at one point there you mentioned, Liam, and amongst what you were saying about the systems and whatnot, did you happen to catch any of the MLS fans at war with Celtic fans this week on social media, Liam, on Twitter? Yeah, that's been an interesting one. And it's like, what don't you get? It's like when you're talking to them and trying to explain it to them, it's like, what can you not understand about outside the MLS, where I've said before about their system with no relegation and having a playoff system rather than the team with the most points at the end of the season wins the league? What a novel concept. It's like, no, there's a playoff system. They don't seem to understand that, like, in most leagues around the rest of the world, second place is nothing. And in Scotland in particular, it's nothing. So after losing 6 games out of 8, I'm surprised that they're surprised. They're absolutely like bewildered as to how he didn't last. And it's like, you're just arguing with a wall at that point. I just find, but just seeing some of the interactions, Liam's been wild to say the least.
I picked up some of the podcast stuff like that, and the podcasts were a bit different. You know, there was the guys like Alexei Lalas came out. I don't know if you remember Alexei Lalas, Johnny. He was Billy Connolly.
He was Italy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looked like a ginger Billy Connolly in the World Cup.
I remember Alexei, yep.
Now he's all clean cut and all that, but even he was coming out and it was saying that it was a disgrace. Like, you know, he shouldn't have been over there, that he was well out of his depth. And there was a number of pundits, guys that had played the game, that was just saying that Wilfried Nancy had no idea how big a club Celtic was. Yeah. And I think that was a lot. I don't think he did his research properly. I think it was a shock to him that he thought he was coming there to fix something that wasn't entirely broken. It just needed to, you know, somebody to manage, not to develop a new system or teach us how to play American kickball. No, we invented the game, you know, well before he even knew what it was, when he was, you know, making crepes or whatever in there in France.
Yeah, it's just been wild just seeing some of the interactions again. They just don't seem to get it, and it's like, guys, it's a winning, it's a results business, and from day one, we all could see it with some of the things that Wilfried Nancy said, where he's like, it's not about winning and losing, and it's like, it certainly is, especially in this city. So yeah, I say the Wilfried Nancy chapter is now closed, and we move on to reopening the Martin O'Neill chapter. We skipped back a chapter to reopen the Martin O'Neill one, and yes, it all begins again tomorrow. It ended against Dundee FC, and we're restarting it now against Dundee United. A team that obviously have beat us already this season up at Tannadice just a few weeks ago under Wilfried Nancy. But I think tomorrow it will be less of a kamikaze approach, Johnny. I think there'll be a lot more sense, I think, applied to the starting 11, because I think that's what Martin O'Neill did right in that 7-week spell that he had, where he just took it back to basics. I think Brendan Rodgers was teetering into that too much sports science, too many instructions, overcomplicated, overthinking it. I think with Martin O'Neill, it was just go out and play a natural game and just making the players feel 10 feet tall. And first and foremost, I think what we can expect tomorrow, Johnny, is 4 at the back and a more sensible and regimented formation.
Oh, fair doubt. I mean, like I say, how many goals did we lose when Martin was back in his first or his second?
2. And they were both penalties. Rangers in the Cup semi-final and Hibs at Easter Road. We lost 2 goals. They weren't even an open play.
And then we lost 18. Was it 18 we lost under Nancy?
Mm-hmm. Aye. I say, if you want to include the European game, I'm not sure whether you would say domestically under Martin O'Neill, it was 2. Obviously, Midtjylland and Feyenoord scored against us, but domestically, which is our bread and butter, yeah, I lost track under Wilfried Nancy how many we lost, genuinely.
So basically what I'm saying is that when we had Martin O'Neill back there for that 7-8 games, whatever it was, he had the door not only shut, but locked and bolted top and bottom. Mm-hmm. Nancy came in and opened the door and left it unguarded for anybody who wanted to walk through and score a goal. And I think the first thing Martin will do tomorrow, he'll make sure that door is now locked and bolted again.
Yep.
And we'll obviously still play our attacking football, but we will definitely be very much harder to score against, I would imagine. I'm not sure who's going to play it right back. I don't know whether he'll go with a new guy or whether he'll go with Ralston or Donovan.
That's the only difference from the last time he was here is, we've got a different right back as an option now. I
don't think there'll be a big change in personnel, to be fair. There might be a couple of tweaks here and there. But I don't think they've changed an awful lot as far as personnel goes. They'll definitely go with 4 at the back. Maybe go 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, something like that. I know 4-4-2 is a bit old-fashioned nowadays, but, it's the way they can be fluent. But definitely tighten the back. And, yeah, definitely. Just don't know what he's going to do up front. I think we've only really got Johnny Kenny as an option, is it? Johnny
Kenny or Maeda or Shin Yamada through the middle, if he's going to, whatever strike he's going to deploy.
So effectively got no options. The thing that's annoying, really, though, is Johnny Kenny does get himself into good positions, even against
I know,
Rangers when he wasn't looking at his most confident. He was still doing some decent things, but just when it came to the shooting boots, he had them on the wrong feet.
Yeah.
And that's
well, I mean, he literally missed a great chance 30 seconds before Yang scored that wonder goal. And it's like, how can you miss that essential, like a tap in? You know, obviously Butland saved it, but, you know, he zipped across the goal and he just slid at it and it was just so meek. And then 30 seconds later, Yang just goes on this wondrous run and smashes it into the net. And it's like, what's going on? Are we living in a simulation now? I can't even figure it out myself anymore.
Yeah.
But in terms of the forward line, Liam, and obviously we saw this get deployed a couple of times in Martin's first interim spell. Luke McCown deployed as a winger. Do you think we might go back to that again? Because he played there against Feyenoord and I think against Hibs as well. I'm pretty sure he played out wide right in those games, because right now, again, the winger option's starting to get... I know the Celtic Facebook and Twitter account have made a point of Balakisha and Tunekti being back in training. Is that a good thing or a bad thing at this stage? I don't even know. Balakisha's not been fancied by 3 different managers this season, and one of those managers is now back, so I don't think that'll have changed much. Tunekti, we all thought he looked like a bit of a talent at the start, but I think it was just because that first month of the season, we were obviously losing to Kairat over 2 legs, or not scoring against Kairat over 2 legs, had a drab 0-0 draw with Rangers, so we suddenly had somebody that didn't want to just pass it sideways. I think we all just sort of sat up a little bit more and were like, oh, this guy's different. This guy's exciting. He's kind of faded away. So I don't know. I mean, Yang seems to be the most in-form winger right now. I say maybe Luke McCown goes back out to the wide area where he was playing a couple of times under Martin. That's something you'll have to think about, Liam.
Well, Luke McCown didn't look very good with Nancy, and, you know, he was very vocal about it as well. If Martin O'Neill watched the Rangers game, and I'm sure he's watched it back plenty of times on the tape and that, look at Yang in that first half. Yang was our most creative and he was our most direct player. And I think that's got to be rewarded as well. We've got a bad habit of rewarding failure. You know, even like, you know, bringing guys like Kyogo back after he's had a shit season, bringing Jota back, shit season, Brendan Rodgers, you know, Leicester relegated, shit season. We reward failure, and it's time we start rewarding and, you know, being a merit-based team. And I think right now, if you look at the way Yang played last week, he's got to be the first name on the team sheet for starting up front. And if we'd have started at the beginning of the season, I don't think anybody would have predicted that. But I think the boys earned it. Maybe the girlfriend's back in Glasgow. Who knows what's happening? But I'm back in the Yang gang. As far as the other side goes, I think it's down in the middle. Johnny Kenny, for all the good spaces that he gets into, as soon as the ball comes to him, he manages to jump on the other side of the ball. He managed to try and tackle the ball at one point last week. He's shown us everything of why he shouldn't be playing at Celtic. Now, if Martin's got some magic words or whatever it is that they can put into not just Kenny, but the other Irish boy in our team as well, who seemed to have dropped off with the Nancy effect.
Yeah, Liam Scales.
Maybe they got rid of Guinness and Spuds out the canteen or something, but get them back in, because you're going to need to get these two firing somehow. But right now, I think Johnny Kenny's got his earner way back into the team. You can't just be thrown in because you're the only guy. I would rather see Maeda through the middle and make sure that we've got the guys in the wing to adapt to him. And with Balakisha and Tunetsky, I mean, I saw the thing about Balakisha where, I don't know, I thought that was a bit sensational that his team the fans were blaming him for whatever it was. I watched the goal and all that, and I couldn't see where it was like one of these things like it was a howler for Balakisha or something. So I'm not sure what people were reading into that.
I've not seen the full replay, but it's something to do with further up the park. He either lost possession or didn't track back well enough, and was it Nigeria they were playing, basically broke on them and scored, and that was essentially the goal that knocked them out.
But, you know, there's a boy who's got every opportunity to try and get himself established at Celtic, and honestly, they two just go, and Nygren, that just shows you what our recruitment was like. Nygren, he scores goals, he's great. You know, he's like, you know, typical Swedish. You know, he's great in the box. He'll score goals. And as soon as he comes out the box, it's just like IKEA, falls apart. You know? and I don't think his head's right. I really don't. I don't think he's Celtic class with the mindset. I always liked when Ange was talking about, and you see Martin O'Neill as well. You talk about the character of a player, and you're looking at, you know, this fucking idiot still cupping his ears towards our fans and things like that, which really rubs me the wrong way with him. It's an immaturity that I think a boy his age, that you can see why his price tag was 1.5 million, and he's having a good spell right now in a bad team. But as soon as we get proper players in, I mean, look, McCowan, come on, step up and get that charlatan out the team. Show us what you got. You can't just be all talk. You know,
apparently Luke McCowan was the one that got the manager away from the team with his words last week. It was his interview that really raised some red flags.
So yeah, so that's great, but you got to do it. You got to step up. And you got to show that you can actually talk the talk, walk the walk, and Luke McCowan's got to do that. I always thought he's a bit lightweight. I thought he's a bit clowny. You know, Greg Taylor's pal. You know, it looks
to be fair, Liam, I don't agree with you on that one. I think McCowan he's not been a regular first team starter, but you know what? I think when he's come on, he's helped turn games and change games, and he's won games in the last minute. I think you've been a bit harsh on him there, to be fair.
Well, I remember a game against Rangers where he completely shot the bed, Johnny, and he looked like a fierce boy out there. He doesn't have the physicality. Watch him. For a Scottish boy, you know, I always think Scottish boys pride themselves on being a bit physical and being able to take the rough stuff and the hard stuff. McCowan seems a bit lightweight to me when it comes to that stuff. And the position he's in against a lot of big clangers. And when he's in against a lot of them, he tends to disappear. He's no one of the players that, you know, has got a small stature, but it's got a ton of pace and skills and that. No, he's very much like a meat and potatoes type player that does the basics, gets in there. Now, I'm not discrediting at all. He scored some good goals for us and all that as well. But I think you need to see more from him. And what I'm saying is I expect to see him being a bit more, you know, exerting himself into the games more, getting the ball, get on the ball, but take the physicality of the game by the scruff of the neck as well, and not just chipping in with goals when we're winning and all that. Yeah,
but he's not just chipping in when we're winning, Liam. He won us the first game of the season for a start. That's the first one I can think off the top of my head. He's come in and he's scored late winners. He's come in and helped change games. I think you've been a bit harsh on the guy. If I'm being honest with you, I'm not saying for a second he's the answer. I'm not saying he's the best player we've got at Celtic even now. But I think there's a lot more problems than Luke McCowan, if I'm being honest with you. I can agree with you with Negron. Negron's one is very much disguised because of the goals he scored. And he scored some wonderful goals. But he's been, you talk about anonymous. Jesus Christ. I mean, Negron was well sitting on my settee sometimes.
Yeah, well, I think they're both very similar as players, Johnny. And, you know, I'm looking to see Celtic as a whole. I don't want to sort of like stick with Luke McCowan because he's the best we got right now. I think that's an area of the park that we could definitely improve. And I'm not saying that he's a waster or anything like that. I'm saying he's got every opportunity to step up and be that player. If he's going to come out and he's going to talk about the coach and the manager and all that, then yeah, put up or shut up. But so now's the opportunity for him to come out and be that more of that player that we thought we were getting, that when we signed him, when he was showing leadership in that in Dundee, I don't think he's shown it yet. I think he's fallen off quite a bit. And hopefully maybe Martin O'Neill's the one that can bring that out of him. You know, but, you know, that's another area of the park that we could be doing with strengthening. And that's why I was interested in Nico Segur coming in, because he could have filled that role. And, you know, who knows? He's might probably the same height and same stature, but might show a bit more. Luke McCowan's had a ton of opportunities.
No, yeah, he has had that, but under Martin O'Neill previously, so he was getting, you know, so he starts out wide right. So it might be something he'll do tomorrow. Maybe McCowan will just be on the bench. We don't know. But obviously, there's a lot of problems in midfield. And McCowan is basically a symptom of our midfield this season, where every one of them seems to go through peaks and troughs. We've had Hatate have some decent moments and then drop off massively. Engels has a flash here and there where he'll take like a good set piece or whatever, chips in with like a decent passes here and there, but then hides for the rest of the game. McCowan, you've said those, he scored a couple of goals as well this season, but can drop off. Bernardo, we always talk about, Bernardo, get him in the team, and then he does get a chance, and then it doesn't really work. And then, Nygren is obviously probably the most polarising one, where his numbers show that he's been unbelievable. But then when you actually watch him for an entire game, he has massive drop-offs. And again, that's just it goes back to what I said earlier on, where we think we've figured out what the main problem is, and then another problem just springs up, and our midfield has a lot of problems right now. But the position we're in, we just need to, this is the square pegs for round holes. Ethos, essentially, we have to just patch it up as best we can this month and find a way through to May. It's not ideal. It's not what we want. We want, obviously, long-term fixes. But right now, we're deep in the trenches right now, and we're going to have to just patch it up. And the biggest talking point, I think, for the team selection tomorrow, before we do our predictions for it, is going to be the goalkeeper. We'll save the best to last. Obviously, earlier on, Liam, you mentioned it about this being a big decision. Now, I know that all three of us are going to have the same answer on who we would play. But what do we think Martin and Neil is going to do tomorrow? Because obviously, I would be very much in favour of just Sinisalo has to come in now. He's shown more than enough times that he's a decent enough keeper, especially at domestic level in the Scottish Premiership. I think we're fine to have him in goal. But I just have this funny feeling that he's going to stick with Kasper Schmeichel, and that worries me, Johnny, because he is massively on a slippery slope now. It's not even just like one mistake here and there. There have been so many, and it's only since last May, the Scottish Cup final, these mistakes have been happening. I think he needs to make a big choice. I think Martin Neil's got the balls to make a big choice like that. But at the same time, I've just got this bad feeling that we're still going to stick with Schmeichel, and I really just hope that's not the case.
I don't think there's any doubt that Martin Neil's got the chops to make the change if that's what he wanted to do. If he wanted to make a big decision, I think one of the biggest decisions he ever made as far as team selection goes was when he caught us all out and left Paul Lambert out against Blackburn in the UEFA Cup. Yeah, so he's not frightened to make a big call in a position. I think the fact that Sinisalo didn't get as much as a look in when Martin was here a couple months ago, which suggests to me that unless Martin has been watching all the games and seen the Howlers, I don't think that will change. I don't think Sinisalo will get a look in. Although you're right, I think I'm going to make it 2 out of 2 that I would play Sinisalo. Mm-hmm. I know we lost them 2 goals at Livingston. I think that was just a bit freakish. A right back scoring 2 goals with 2 almost identical goals, really. Livingston, I still think O'Neill will go with Schmeichel. And Sinisalo will be watching from the bench once again.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah, it's 2 out of 2 for the opinion. I think Liam's going to have a tap in for the hat-trick, I think.
Yeah, Liam, I'd imagine you'll very much start Sinisalo, but do you think it'll be Schmeichel that will get the nod?
No, I think it'll be Sinisalo. And
good. I hope that's the case.
I hope you're right.
Aye.
Martin O'Neill's his own man. I think Martin O'Neill sees what's going on as well, and I don't think he's got that history with Schmeichel that would see something in him that would get him through that. He's been terrible lately, and I think the thing, and going by just the pictures in this week, if that wasn't Under Armour or windbreakers and that he was wearing under his jersey, Schmeichel doesn't look to me he's taking this stint at Celtic as professionally as he should. And I remember Martin getting upset and talking about, in Martin Way about Stuart Kerr. Going, remember him, Johnny, back in the day?
Yeah.
He was a goalkeeper, and he says, well, he stopped starting him. And some says, well, why? He's so much promise in that. And he goes, well, somehow the boy discovered crisps.
Aye.
I think Schmeichel's that as well. And I think you have to set standards as pros as well. You can't be starting somebody that's unfit. And this is a guy that's playing internationally. He's getting older and all that, but there has to be a fitness to him that you take yourself in your game professional enough that you're not overeating during Christmas, or you're not, slacking up in training, and if that is, just extra layers underneath for the cold of that, but he's Danish and grew up in Manchester and Denmark and stuff. I'll take it back. But if he's put on that amount of weight and he's got the shoulder injury and he's got like the poor run of performances and all that, I think Martin is smart enough to start Sinisalo. And and I hope he does.
Yeah, I think that'd be a big. Obviously a big decision anyway, but it's a glaring one. I mean, right now there isn't much you can do with players we can bring in, but there are some players on the periphery of the squad that you can change right now. And Sinisalo has definitely shown he's not terrible. He's not a huge risk. And now, if he was going to put Duhan in goal, that's a massive risk, obviously. But we know that Sinisalo is a decent enough level to get away with it in the Scottish Premiership. I don't think there's any risk there at all. So I'd like to think that, that will be one of the first changes tomorrow. But I will not be surprised. I mean, I really hope Liam's right by saying he thinks he will change it. Because, that'd be one of the first things. In terms of the right back, obviously, that's another one. Out of the options right now, I would have Ralston as far away from the starting 11 as possible, and Donovan would come in for me. I think the new boy, Arojo, even though he's a right back, I don't think he's got enough fitness right now to start, although you'd like to think that he will, get that sharpness and can start there if we don't sign Segura especially. Because, Ralston, obviously, he's been... everything that can go wrong for Tony Ralston seems to go wrong, and obviously last week was a prime example for the second goal. So they're like two of the glaring ones in terms of things he can change tomorrow. And say the striker one is just going to have to make do with Kenny, Yamada, or Maeda through the middle. It's going to be one of those because, we didn't obviously sign any strikers this week, and it will roll on to the Falkirk game on Wednesday, and we'll see if anybody's come in by then. But before we go, because that's coming up to an hour and 20 again, guys, we might as well do the usual predictions. So, Johnny, will the rot stop? Will St. Martin sprinkle some of his magic dust on the team and get us a result tomorrow?
2-0 for us. I think Martin will get that back door locked. I don't see us scoring a barrel of goals. I would say 2-0 at most, I would say. I'll settle for a scrappy 1-0. Any kind of win. Got to win.
Any victory will do. Liam, what about yourself? Prediction for tomorrow?
For the first time of the night, I'm going to agree with you, Johnny. 2-0.
2-0. That's what it's all about, man. That's all about
That's happening.
If we all agreed and everything, then it would be boring. So, no, fair enough.
Yeah, comfortable. It'll be a comfortable 2-0. I think we'll score at the back. I think we'll probably see Liam Scales come back into the team. I think Liam Scales was showing some good form under Martin O'Neill. He really shit the bed under Nancy. Let's hope all that stuff's wiped out. That virus that was going through this movie that we're in with Iran guy is we've got all that out. We've recast. We've got a new director, new location, new financing. This is turning into an epic.
I hope so. So we need to just get back on the winning track somehow. Even if it's ugly, we just need to make sure we get it done. I'll go for... I think United will get a goal, but I'll say it'll be 3-1 to Celtic, so a 2-goal margin. But again, I'm the same as you, Johnny. I will settle for a scrappy 1-0 victory. Anything will do right now because, we just need to find a way to just get through every game. Just treat it like a cup final and just find a way to win. Let's have a quick look at some of the predictions that are coming through. Condors are saying 4-0, need to work on the goal difference. I would definitely need to do that. Joe Henry says 5-0. Big time. Ali has said Kenny to score, and he's added we'll get a clean sheet as well. Okay. Dan the man has said 2-1 to Celtic. Jim Cunningham says 2-0 to United. I don't know if he is actually a United fan that's came in to watch. I don't know. But anyway, maybe he's just a bit pessimistic as a Celtic fan. We have had a lot of trauma in the last month, so you just don't know right now. ADHD Gamer says 4-0 Celtic. 3-0 from Sculzo, 5-0 from Tanner, 3-0 from Robert Duck. A lot of nils, a lot of clean sheets getting predicted here from a team that couldn't keep a clean sheet to now. Definite clean sheet tomorrow. Chilpel says a nervy 2-1 win. And Spell the Glove says 3-0 Johnny Kenny hat-trick. There you go. And on that bombshell, we better head off there. It's been another Friday Feeling episode in the book. So do all the good stuff on the way out, folks. Hit the like button and whatnot. Terry will be back tomorrow for the post-match show sometime about the back of 5, I would guess. It'll be a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. Oh, no, I had one of them in a while. So he'll probably be on about the back of 5. And I've got some other stuff planned as well. We'll hopefully put a show out on Sunday as well. So look out for that. But obviously, I need to iron out some last minute details on that one. But yeah, thanks to Johnny for joining us tonight, and Liam, as always, pleasure. And yeah, again, guys, enjoy the game tomorrow wherever you watch it, whether you're at it or you watch it on Firestick CSC, however you manage to see it. And yeah, come back for the post-match show with Terry tomorrow. Well, hopefully, I see we say this every week, I'm a bit more confident it will happen. Hopefully, he'll have a good victory of Celtic to talk about. But anyway, we'll catch you later, folks. Do all the good stuff on the way out. And thanks for watching.
Folks.
Cheers. See ya.